Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition, another episode of From Bromley with Love. Technically, I should have said welcome to the deep dive because this is what it is, but who knows? Because I do these things so sporadically, you never know what you're doing, what you're getting. What I do know is that Colin Head, my erstwhile companion on From Bromley with Love, has joined me once again to dissect, I want to say the latest goings on at Bromley, but this is a more specific kind of episode. We're really just talking FA Trophy today. On Saturday, and thank you to those who continue to read the good, the bad, and the ugly, or the From Bromley with Love Substack fanzine, call it what you want. So, to set the scene, Cole, I in the latest good, the bad, and the ugly, after the Chippenham game, I wrote in the ugly section. I almost feel to read. You know what, Cole? I'm going to read it verbatim. Right? It's not that long. I'm going to read it verbatim. One, as a plug for the good, the bad, and the ugly. So I'm also just going to read it verbatim anyways. And those who are like, what is the good, the bad, and the ugly? Read in the comments, click the links. But Cole, this is what I wrote in the ugly section. Andy Woodman told me at full time that he's looking to win the FA Trophy. When he said that after the Slough Town win, I honestly assumed he was just saying what he has to say for the cameras. On Saturday against Chippenham, Andy put out as close to a full-strength side as he reasonably could and reaffirmed post-match that winning the trophy is a target. A few miles up the road, meanwhile, National League leaders Chesterfield played an under-21 side against Welling United and got dumped out of the Cup or trophy. I'm certain the Spyrights aren't shedding any tears about that. Far be it for me to say that Bromley are above winning the FA Trophy, but I have to question whether we can compete at the top level on two fronts. Only 6 National League clubs remain in the final 16. If any of those 6 genuinely fancy a run at the Cup final, the draw is very much open for it. What would you want as a Bromley fan? Dare we dream of a third Wembley final? I didn't write this, but it must be our third one in, 7 years? If we get there.
Yeah, that's right.
Of course, given our league form, we may or could even get to Wembley in a playoff final. If that were to happen, might the FA Trophy prove a hindrance? Bloody hell, I'm contemplating not prioritising a trophy run at the expense of a playoff final. What a heady time to be a Bromley fan.
Yeah.
So Cole, I'm not even going to ask you any questions. Give me your instant hot take.
I think we can go for it because we've not had the FA Cup run that Chesterfield have had. They've gone all the way through to the third round. They've probably got a lot more games to make up. We've got a 22-man squad. Use that squad, man. Even a second 11 of ours is decent now. It's not like we're gonna. It's not like you've got to drag a load of kids out of the under 23s and say, "Go on, fulfil the fixture for us," like we did with the county cups. I think we go for it. Well, we're that close now. Final 16? I think just see how it goes. Take every game seriously. Put your strong, put a decent team out and see where we end up.
Okay, so that's my next question. You said and then stopped yourself. You started off by saying, "Put your strong," and then you went decent team out.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I did. I stopped myself.
So my next question is, and by the way, I'm not saying no to what you're saying. The whole point of me writing that was simply to pose the question, because once you're in the final 16, not too dissimilar to the year Woodman won it, right?
Yeah.
We played a weak side or weakened side against Dover.
Yeah, and Tunbridge.
And then Tunbridge. And we don't know if you were at that Tunbridge game. We should have been knocked out at that Tunbridge game.
Yeah, got lucky.
In fact, that's when Kellen Fisher made his debut, if I remember rightly. We should have got knocked out, won on penalties. And then when you're in the final 16, you kind of have to. In fact, Tunbridge might even have been the final 16 because I swear we played Aldershot as well at some point. But yeah, I think it was Dover, Aldershot, Tunbridge, which was the final 16. And then you're in the last 8. And then I think it was Solihull, York, and then the final, right?
Yeah. Right.
When you're in the final 16, you have to start thinking you can win it. You have to.
Yeah.
But the question mark for me is, how strong do you go? Now, Andy, for me, by putting out a strong side versus Chippenham, and obviously the draws come out today. We've got Aveley next, so we've had 3 National League South sides in a row at home. Aveley will be just as up for it as Chippenham were, just as Slough were. Does he go full strength? Obviously, I'd expect Teddy Sharman Low to play because I think he deserves to play instead of Knight in terms of getting some game time. But
I think he's the trophy keeper now, isn't he? Which is fair enough, you know. And he's a good enough keeper for that not to be an issue. So yeah, I think he plays. But then there's a really good question after that. Do we go strongest possible 11 that you would put out for a National League game? Or do you look at the squad that we've got and say, right, you guys, you need to run out. You know, you can comfortably perform at the level that we need you to. So let's give the guys that haven't had a game a chance. It's a good question. I don't know what way he'll go now.
So a couple people on the Facebook group, the Bromley Football Club Facebook group, made the point that Bromley don't have many Tuesday night games left. So there's a slight luxury of being able to say, well, it's not as simplistic as saying rest legs because we're going Tuesday, Saturday. But this is before postponements might come into play, right? The weather's taking a turn. So, for example, next Tuesday, we're away to Aldershot. If the weather continues the way it continues, don't be surprised if that game's frozen off. And then it has to suddenly be rescheduled. So I get it. And I'm not disagreeing with you, Cole, but you can start off in this position where I'm like you and saying, God, might as well just take it serious, see what happens. Until all of a sudden, what didn't look like a fixture backlog suddenly becomes one.
Yeah, and also now we're definitely going to be playing Oldham away on a Tuesday.
Exactly.
That makes it probably twice as hard in some ways.
So
we'll have hardly anybody up there either, because you know the travelling support will be affected by that.
Right, and Oldham got knocked out on Saturday by, I think it was Hampton and Richmond knocked them out, right? Or was it Hendon? Right. One of those two teams. I think it might be Hendon. I think Hendon knocked Oldham out, right? Now, if I'm Oldham, who, remember, Oldham are in the playoffs, they're chasing promotion as well, right? If I'm Oldham, I'm looking at Bromley's fixture list, and I'm putting that away game somewhere between. So check this out, right? If I'm Oldham, this is when I'm playing Bromley. On March the 5th, we don't have a game. It's a Tuesday night. On Saturday the 2nd, we play Halifax at home. That March the 5th on the Tuesday is empty. If I'm Oldham, I'm playing then, because the next game Bromley have after that is the Saturday against Barnet away. So if I'm Oldham, I'm going, come on then, go back to back. Try and beat 2 playoff contenders back to back away from home.
Also, I think if we beat Aveley, the Barnet game.
Oh, is it the Barnet game that next gets? Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Yeah, it's an interesting one, because Tuesday night away is always going to be tougher than the Saturday away game. Always. Yeah. Even if you go up the night before, even if you do all of the right things, it's never going to be the same circumstances, and you're always going to have less people behind you as well. So yeah, it does create an issue, and we've had that in the past when we've had a smaller squad that doesn't go as deep. We've had to sacrifice the playoffs to get to the trophy final twice. No doubt we did that in 2018 with Smudger, when we lost a few away games on Tuesdays. I think York was one and another. But we basically prioritised the trophy, and we kind of did it again.
Yeah, no, we did 100%. Yeah. I think I remember speaking to Andy. Can't remember what point in the season where he intimated something along the lines of, even with the best will in the world, when we went on that 2022 run, you're trying to focus on the league, but the players are thinking about Wembley. They're thinking about, wait a minute, we're 2 games away, we're 1 game away. And as a result, I think he said, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said something along the lines of, players are thinking about not getting injured and things like that, because all of a sudden playing at Wembley is the big draw, and rightly so. Now, the question for me, this is ridiculous that I'm saying it. would get into Wembley again if we. I'm stupid that we're saying it's only the last 16, but we're talking in the context of taking the competition seriously.
Yeah.
Would get into Wembley again in the FA Trophy be a big thing? Obviously, it is, but you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. The thing is, I don't think we're serious about the playoffs this year, and obviously, like where we're at, we should be getting in the top three. We're skipping the eliminator, going straight to the semi-final, and then you're one game from. We think it's going to be Wembley in the playoff final. So that's probably in some ways you think the players will be thinking about that more than thinking about, oh, I could play at Wembley in the trophy. I think there'll be more focus issue. Oh, I could play at Wembley in the playoffs. They might take the trophy games less seriously, and that's the impression that I've got watching the two games that I've seen so far in the trophy. Is that we were in third gear for a lot of Saturday.
100%. Yeah.
And I don't know if that's a conscious thing. That might even just be a subconscious thing. And with the same with Slough as well. We've just done enough in these games. We've not done any more than enough to get through.
Yeah, and that I'm glad you've raised it, because that was something I'd written down to discuss. We have played, and again, I'm with you. I don't think there's any conscious attempt to go out there and say, let's just do the bare minimum. I don't think it's as simple as that. And do you know what? I listened to the Chippenham manager's interview. I've obviously embedded it within the article as well. And in his interview, he was like, for 55 minutes, we were the better team. But here's the thing. When he said that, I was like, well, I mean, you were there. You were like, your team was there. They stuck in the game, but they weren't battering us. Do you know how I described that? We were basically doing the bare minimum to keep them at arm's length, right? And there was no and it was the same in the Slough game. If anything, Slough played better than Chippenham, to be fair. But there was no intensity to go and just get the second goal that would have just killed the tie off. It smacked of, right, we're 1-up. Let's just manage this till the end of the game. If you see what I mean. And then obviously Chippenham got the goal and so on and so forth. Neither of the two trophy performances have looked like a team that's trying to win the FA Trophy.
No, that's right.
But you know what? I sent a message to Will earlier today, and I said to Will, a sign of how good Bromley are right now is that we've played 2 FA Trophy games, actively not tried to win them, and still won anyway. Do you get where I'm coming from, though?
I do get exactly where you're coming from. Yeah, definitely.
Like, if we'd lost on penalties on Saturday, I refuse to believe that anyone would have cared. I refuse to believe they would have been a shrug on the shoulders and be like, "Oh well."
Yeah. But I think that's because we've got another goal. There is another focus. There are times when it would have been the be all and end all. It's like, this is what we've got left this season. But when you're second in the league and looking at making the playoffs, then it won't feel like a disaster if we get knocked out. It'll just be like mildly annoying, you know. But then you think about, we got Boreham Wood Saturday, so that's the one we got to go for next, isn't it?
So I'm just bringing up the National League South. So Averley are 7th in the National League South. They had a very, very good start this season.
First season up,
they got promoted. They got promoted. They won the Ryman playoffs, actually.
They did. Yeah, they did. Yeah, that's right. They beat Hornchurch in the final.
Yeah. So they won the Ryman playoffs last season, got promoted, started amazingly well this season. I think they were at the top of the league in the early stages of the National League South. They've plateaued out a bit, and they're 7th in amongst a whole bunch of teams in a competitive National League South. If it had been at their place, I would have said, you know what, could be an upset going on here. It still can happen. It still can happen at our place, but it's just a tougher ask for them, right? So I guess the question I ask you is, assuming who we've got Boreham Wood Saturday, Aldershot Tuesday if that goes ahead, Fylde on Saturday if that goes ahead, because if the bad weather continues, that might not go ahead. Hartlepool at home, then it's the trophy, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Let's say all goes well. Okay, so
Yeah.
between Borehamwood and Hartlepool, 4 games, we pick up, let's just say 7 points, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 9 if we're lucky. Who of the starting lineup? So generally speaking, the strongest Bromley side at this moment is Smith, Kirk, Reynolds. Question mark over left centre back. Topoloy is there at the moment, but no one really knows if that's a long-term
Yeah.
option. But let's just put him there for now. So
Yeah.
Bez, Weston left wing back, Josh right wing back.
Yeah.
Base of the midfield's a question mark. Is it Sam Woods? Is it Tate Campbell? Is it Jude Arthurs? No one really
Yeah.
knows because Lewis Lee obviously has left.
Yeah.
Obviously Corey and Ben, and then Cheek and Olamola. Let's say
Yeah.
we get to that game in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks time. Who of the starting lineup, apart from Grant Smith, who we think Teddy Sharman will obviously
Yeah,
be
that's
playing,
right. Yeah. Yeah.
apart from
Yeah.
Grant Smith, who would you dare rest? And the reason why I say that is because Aveley are good. I
Yeah,
don't
they
think
are.
you can afford to be doing more. If he didn't do it versus Chippenham and he didn't do it versus Slough, who would he dare? Who would you, dare rest? So I've got one. I'll give you one. If Levi is ready, I'm not playing Cheek.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I take it Levi didn't play for Maidstone in the trophy.
Oh, I didn't consider
I
that.
guess we'll have to look that up. But if
Yeah.
he's not cup tied, absolutely, that's the game to bring him into because he's playing against a team he's probably already played against this season, but at a level that he's played against this season, it will be the ideal opportunity to give him a chance to get a goal early on in his Bromley career. Definitely, yeah. I would give Louis a run, maybe instead of Fella. Byron would probably come in the middle again instead of Callum. The centre midfield's interesting. Woods, you'd sit him in front of the back four, but it is noticeable on Saturday. And I know I've read your article already. If Ben and Corey don't play, something is missing. So that's the real issue. Centre mid is the real question, isn't it? What do we do if you rested Ben and Corey? What do you do? Would we have enough in there? I guess it depends if Bennings comes back. You've got obviously Tate Campbell, Mitchell, Burkham, Kiddo. There's loads of options.
Do you know? I forgot about all that. I forgot about. Do you know what? Do you know who I forgot about? And I saw him on Saturday. I forgot about Todd Miller. I forgot.
Yeah, I know. He's just.
I presume he's injured because he was in like his tracksuit and he was at the front of the stand. I was like, oh yeah,
yeah.
So,
it's been a while. Yeah.
And do you know another player? What? People are going to be listening to this going, Mash, why don't you just ask Andy? Yes, I'm aware I could. But where's Chinakoli?
Well, I was told he's gone back to Millwall because he's injured.
Yeah, but no one ever officially stated that.
That's not official. That's not official. That's from Paul Richer, who's probably got Andy's ear in the Ravens chat and has hooked me up with a bit of information. I was like, oh, okay, because I had no idea. I guess he was injured, but I didn't know he'd gone back.
Yeah, it would be, if anyone from the club is listening to this, it would be nice to just let us know. If I assumed he'd gone back, but because we had no official confirmation, you just who knows? Maybe just in the background, just recovering from injury and stuff. So, but interestingly, Andy did say that when I interviewed him on Saturday, he did say that he's looking at a couple more faces coming in, which sounds ridiculous given the number of names you've just mentioned, right? So, do you know Adam Merritt's still at the club?
I think we've got a 20. I think we've got a 23-man squad. I wrote all the names down last week to try and work out who we still had after the loans went back.
Yeah,
I think we got a 23-man first team squad.
Well, so Andy's talking about 2 more players or a couple players. Maybe he's exaggerating. Maybe only means 1. But again, I just want to echo coming off the back of what you said. If Corey or Ben break down, there is no natural replacement. So I just keep wondering when Andy's talking about bringing someone in. That's still the position that I
Yeah.
think we could do with all of the midfielders we've got who could come on to replace Ben and Ben or Corey. To me, are more control the game midfielders, or not or see the game out midfielders. They're not. We're chasing an equalizer. I need someone who can do what Corey and Ben can do, but one of them's having an off game. Do you get where I'm coming from?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So I don't know if Andy's still looking in that particular position.
We kind of need. You're kind of guessing that he's looking for this year's Ryan Stirk, someone from a league club. Because when he came in this time last year, the difference that he made to the team in the second half of the season, he's contributed to us getting in the playoffs without a doubt. There was that extra bit of quality in midfield that we hadn't had up until January, and then he came in and it was like, wow, okay, this kid's way too good to be playing for us, but
yeah,
we'll take it. So I guess that's probably what he's looking to find again.
Yeah, and
Not an easy thing to do.
If I remember rightly, with Stirk, the only reason Stirk came to us, beyond the fact that Andy went to get him, I think he was one of those players who'd already, he couldn't go to another. He had to come to the National League.
Yeah,
something like that.
you're right.
I don't remember how the rules work, but I think he had to come to the National League if he wanted to get game time.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're right. Yeah, so we've got to look at that sort of situation again.
Yeah, and I think it's also worth iterating for people who are listening that Andy's, as fans, we can be more impatient, right? Because somebody should be coming in, blah, blah, blah. But Andy's always, since day dot, he's always played I'm waiting to get the target I actually want. And if it means waiting 3 weeks, you're going to wait 3 weeks. So a week could go by and people will be like, well, hold on. So where's the person? But Andy, to his credit, has always waited for the right individual to become available. So one thing I will give him is, if he is looking to strengthen, he's looking to strengthen with quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
So I guess it's a case of wait and see.
Yeah. And of course, we got to keep hold of Ben.
Yeah. Hadn't thought about that, Yes. I think we need to prioritize when we inevitably announce which club he's going to. We just need to make sure that it is announced at the end of the season thing, rather than 2 days before whatever window shuts and so on and so forth. Last thing I will just say then, Cole. Let's say we get to, and this is for everyone listening, put your answers in the comments below. Let's say Bromley have the best season they could possibly have, right? And that would mean get into a playoff final.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're assuming we're not catching Chesterfield. Get into a playoff final at Wembley and get into the FA Trophy final at Wembley.
Yeah.
Thing is, it's an obvious answer. Let's say it happens. Let's just say we have to go to Wembley twice at the back end of a season. Would you accept winning a trophy final but not winning the playoff final? And at the end of it, would you go, hold on a minute, that was still a good season?
I would, yeah. I think I might be in the minority. The thing is, the thing that works in our favour, if we in this ridiculous scenario where we find ourselves going to Wembley twice in a week, the playoff final was first. So potentially you're going into the trophy final playing your last ever game of non-league football. So go for it. The playoff final was the 4th, and I think the trophy final was the 11th. I think that's right.
I haven't even looked. I haven't even had a look. So you would accept that if we got to a Wembley final in the playoffs and a Wembley final in the trophy, we lost both. Is that a bad season?
No, how can it be a bad season?
No, but Cole, I'm asking because I'm telling you there are people listening to this.
Oh, I know.
Say it's an absolute disaster if that happens. So I'm just going through the different permutations to see where you stand.
Yeah, no, sure, mate. Staying up with 1 game to spare and not getting relegated into the Kent League was a bad season. This is good.
So fundamentally, obviously, best case scenario is they go, well, best case scenario is they get to both and win both. But
Yeah,
actual best
sure.
case scenario is, and I still maintain this, if Bromley were to end this season in a playoff final at Wembley and got promoted, and it meant we got knocked out on Saturday the 10th versus Aveley, I don't think anyone would give any shits whatsoever.
Absolutely agree. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
whilst that is all up for debate, I think we're concluding just go as far as you can go in the competition and worry about consequences later. Is that effectively what we're saying?
Well, I think that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'll take responsibility for that.
So, you know what? So, ladies and gents, those watching, I said to Cole before we started, listen, we're just talking FA Trophy today, nothing more, nothing less. It may well, some of you listening, and particularly if you're from a different, if you're a fan of a different football club in our league in particular, you may be thinking, what hubris, how presumptuous to believe, that Bromley could get to Wembley once, never mind twice in one season. But I think this has been a pretty exceptional season, and any normal season where Bromley got to the final 16 of an FA Trophy, it would be realistic. And we didn't even talk about Cole. Got to the final 16 where there's only 5 other National League clubs in the competition. It's not like we're saying we're in the final 16 and it's chocker with all the National League clubs, right? So effectively, we're there and we're second. Barnet are there, they're third. Solihull are there, and they're fourth. So they're the 3 teams that everybody will be looking at. And to be fair, Cole, the same things that we're raising, Barnet fans might be thinking the same thing.
Absolutely, Barnet have got exactly the
exact same thing. So it's not like it's just related to us, right? Looking at the draw, there's no all National League tie. So you could conceivably get into the quarterfinals and you've still got 6 National League clubs in there. But what I would say is there was a year in the trophy. It might have been that year when North Ferriby won it. I think it was when North Ferriby won it. Or was it when Hornchurch won it against Hereford, where like all the National League clubs were just knocked out?
Because North Ferriby beat Wrexham, didn't they?
Yeah, I think North Ferriby beat. Yeah, Wrexham, I think they beat. I think you're right. I think North Ferriby beat Wrexham. And then there was a year recently where Hornchurch beat Hereford. So
that's
it's
right.
Obviously, and then the year when Brackley beat us. So it's not uncommon for the trophy to now be won by a side that's not even in the top league. So for those of you who are new to this, there only being 6 National League clubs in the competition, actually not a surprise. And and to be fair, Cole, I think that's happened ever since the playoffs went down to 7th place, where clubs are trying to prioritize different things.
That is exactly what happened. And this is the same with the county cups now, basically being an under-23s tournament. As soon as playoffs came in, and all of a sudden it wasn't finishing in the top 2 or the top 3, it was finishing in the top 7, meant that you extended your season. People's priorities completely changed.
Yeah, 100%. So I think we're far enough out in the last 16 where we can say, let's continue going. It will be very interesting. If you're right, and the date for the quarters, if we get there, is the 9th of March. We may need to have this conversation again because we don't know what the league position. We don't know what the league position will be saying at that stage, and it's very much for me a round by round situation.
Yeah, that's
because
what we've got to look
although it sounds silly to say you're in the quarters and you have to work out what you're saying and how serious it has to be. For all we know, let me just give you this last scenario, Cole, and then we'll wrap it up. If we get to the quarters by the 9th of March, just argument's sake, Chesterfield might have imploded. And then all of a sudden, it's unlikely, but just to give you a scenario, Chesterfield might have imploded. Now, all of a sudden, league really matters then. Do you see? I mean, that changes the whole dynamic of how you think about approaching things. I just wonder, would we be having this if the gap between us and Chesterfield was 2 points? I think our conversation might be slightly different.
Yeah, I agree, and it's like you said as well. That would be Barney would be thinking the same thing. They'll
Mm.
be having the same thing. If so Chesterfield suddenly hit the buffers, all of it, both of our teams will be looking at each other thinking, you know what, maybe maybe we can forget about the trophy this year.
Oh, listen, we draw Barnet in the quarterfinals.
I know.
It'd be like that game. What was that game in the World Cup when neither team tried to win the game? Was it
Austria and West Germany.
Austria versus West Germany? I can't remember who it was, and both teams just passing it around, trying not to win the game. That's what it would be like. Now we don't want to get to the semis. You do it. But you know what? Listen, Cole. We'll touch base again. Obviously, Borehamwood on Saturday. Never an easy game.
No.
Always difficult opponents, whether home or away. And yeah, we'll touch base again soon and chop it up. And thanks as ever for coming on the show.
Pleasure, mate. Nice one. Take care.
Love that. Listen, everyone who's been locked in, you know what to do by now. You know where we are on Twitter. You know, or you should know, where the Substack page is. Read the comments below. If you, read the descriptions below and all of that. If you'd like to support, click all the links below, etc. And thank you for continuing to watch From Bromley with Love. See you soon.